Are you the kind of person that feels like you need to apologize just for existing? Or you struggle with like owning your space and being okay with the space that you take up? Like, does that give you problems, issues, make you feel like you're imposing on people and that you need to make yourself small and tiny? I've been there. I know those feelings. I still fight to come overcome them all the time. And I wanted to share something that I have thought about on my recent travels that you may find interesting as well. I'm Jessica, by the way. I created this little channel called Energy Escapades, and I like to talk about energy and philosophical thoughts and all sorts of fun things like that. So, I grew up in the US, but I did some traveling where I was in New Zealand for about 4 months, and I learned a lot of things in New Zealand and about myself, about the world, about different cultures, about the universe, about kilograms and kilometers. Those were new to me. But one of the things that I most noticed was the trees in New Zealand. And I know that may sound weird, but bear with me. The trees in New Zealand feel more alive to me than any of the trees that I've really encountered here in the US. I mean, obviously, all trees that are alive, right? But there's something about the New Zealand trees that really just like they felt very alive. And they were unapologetic for the space that they took up. Just something about those trees that really sent home the message to me that they were okay with claiming their space. And I also, like those trees, should be okay with claiming my space. See, those trees know what they have to offer, right? They know inherently that it is okay for them to grow and expand. They know inherently that they have value and worth, and they're okay with existing, taking up the space that they are required, that they want to take up. And I mean, these trees were just fantastic to look at. They were beautiful. They took up like so much space, right? They offered oxygen, they offered shelter, they offered shade, they offered nutrients for various creatures, and including humans, depending on what kind of tree they are. But they owned that, man. They owned that and they took up that space and they weren't ashamed. They weren't apologizing. And one of the things that I found interesting about New Zealand, in contrast to the US, is that they accommodate those trees. They respect the trees. They would build around the trees. They would allot for the trees. Now, of course, there were some places where trees were trimmed back, or and I'm sure that they've cut down plenty of trees. You know what place hasn't these days? Um, but in the U.S., one of the things that I've observed is that oh, there's a tree and it's kind of in our way. Let's kill it and get rid of it. But in New Zealand, they really tried to accommodate around the tree. They allowed the tree to take up space. And that's one thing about people that we don't have to have someone's permission or grace to allow us to take up space. You know, the trees really can't do much if somebody wants to come and chop them down, right? That's just how it goes. Um, but we, as people, have the ability to make that decision on our own for what we're going to allow to make us small and hold us back. We have the final say on that. We're allowed to take up as much space as we feel like we need to and deserve to take up, as long as we can inherently identify our worth inside and know that we deserve to take up that space. And again, that's a lesson that I'm still learning every day because I'm a very tall woman, right? And that in society has certain expectations or ways of being treated as a very tall woman that takes up a lot of space by the literal creation of my body takes up a lot of space. Um, And people stare and ask questions about it, and a lot of judgments are made about me based on my height. Not all of them are bad, but plenty of them are good. But it still will shine light on you. And as someone who is kind of shy and struggles to step out of that, that was always something that like I felt like I physically needed to make myself small. Especially the with the idea that femininity is small and demure, and and I'm not. like you know um so that was something that I always had to kind of struggle with within myself, is like embracing, you know what, yeah, here I am, I'm big, I need to quit slouching, I need to quit trying to hide myself. I would never wear heels. Oh goodness gracious, no. So many people will look at me because now I'm 6'2" in these heels. Everybody's gonna stare. But people are gonna stare anyway. I'm 5'11", barefoot. People are gonna stare. So it's this story that we tell ourselves, that based on some sort of societal expectation that we have to fit within, and we have to mold ourselves to fit within those expectations. And you don't. You don't. You just have to realize that you're worthy of taking up space. Whether it's physically, because you're tall, and like just with the Superman pose, take up space. You can't see me, really, but I'm making a Superman pose and I'm taking up space. Right? Or is it with your ideas? Maybe you feel like you have ideas that don't really fit within the norm. And you're like, well, what am I supposed to do with these ideas? I can't tell anybody. I have to, like, it's gonna ruffle feathers. It's gonna make people feel certain ways. And I don't know if I'm ready for my presence to do that. Trees don't care. Trees are gonna be trees. They know they have value. They know they have worth. They're gonna grow. They're gonna expand. Whether you like it or not. Be like the tree. Grow. Expand. Take up your space. Claim your space. Claim your space proudly. Remember that you have value. Your mind, your heart, your body, your soul. You have value. You deserve to take up space. And you deserve to exist. Okay, that's all. Have a nice day.